Hello, I've got a bunch of missed calls. Something happen?
My husband's nonchalant return call grates on my nerves. Huh? I'm at a funeral right now.
A funeral? Don't tell me it's mother-in-law's.
Quit dawdling and get over here. And tell that jerk sister of yours next to you, too.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb with me, you jerks. In the midst of my mother's funeral, my worthless husband enjoyed an unforgivable trip. I can't wait to see what kind of hell he'll face. I'm Ellie, a 33-year-old housewife. I've been married to my husband Jim for 5 years. I met Jim, a salesman who frequented my office while I was working as an office clerk. We would chat over coffee whenever Jim visited.
Ellie, how about we go out for dinner sometime? Here's my contact.
Oh, yes, thank you. Eventually, Jim took a liking to me and we started dating after exchanging contact information. I was attracted to Jim's confident and free-spirited nature, something I lacked, and eventually we got married. 3 years into our marriage, our daughter Mary was born.
I'll work hard, so I want you, Ellie, to stay home.
Jim wanted me to become a stay-at-home mom when Mary was born, so I quit my job and became a full-time housewife. Being a housewife is tough, and I can't rely on my parents who live far away. Mary is now 2 and in her terrible 2s. She constantly refuses everything I offer, saying this and that is not to her liking. It's a phase in a child's development, but it's draining and wears me out. Meanwhile, Jim is completely disinterested in housework and childcare.
Men should work outside and earn money. Women should support their husbands at home,
He says authoritatively. Apparently, Jim's father was also authoritative, and he seems to be heavily influenced by him. Jim, I understand I'll be the main one doing housework and childcare, but could you help a little? It's really good for children to interact with their father from a young age.
So you're saying you want to take over my job?
No, I can't do that, but
Then it's not fair. Why should I be the only one to help? I had you quit your job so that you could handle the house and childcare.
Jim always silences me with his so-called logic. But I do feel that his work is demanding. He often comes home late at night and leaves early in the morning on weekends, sometimes not returning home at all. In such a situation, with no chance to see my parents, my stress kept building. And there was another major source of my frustration, my sister Emma, who is 3 years older than me. Ellie, watch the kids for me this weekend. Emma would call my mobile phone just as I was about to doze off after finally putting the kids to bed. Stop joking. You did the same thing last week. I'm not your personal babysitter. Oh, come on. I took care of you when you were little, so return the favor. I don't mind occasionally, but doing this every week is too much for me. I don't even get a break. But you're a stay-at-home mom. You can make your own time, right? If you keep this up, Jim will scold you again. So I'll leave the kids with you this weekend, okay? Wait, sister. Emma would say her piece and hang up without fully listening to my response. I'm not kidding. It's always so forceful. Emma always forces the care of her 3-year-old son Luke onto me. Emma became a single mother a year ago due to a sexless marriage with her husband. She gained custody of Luke and has been living off support from our parents. I wonder what she does. She doesn't seem to be working. I was a bit curious, but with the weekend approaching, I was too busy taking care of Mary and Luke and stopped pondering it deeply. Then, on the Friday morning before taking care of Luke, I got a terrible migraine, probably due to the continuous child care. Realizing it was impossible to handle alone in this state, I decided to talk to my husband, Jim. Hey, Jim, My sister asked me to look after her kid this weekend, but I've been doing this for a while now and I'm at my limit. The migraine, it's terrible. Can you help out for these 2 days? Please, I'm begging you. Jim's response shattered my desperate plea.
Huh? Didn't I tell you? I've got a 2-day golf outing with an important client starting tomorrow, so I can't help.
What? I had no idea about this. Aren't you prioritizing work a bit too much? At this rate, I'll really collapse.
You're a housewife, right? Maybe you're just inefficient. I've told you before, home and childcare are your responsibility. Can't you even fulfill that? Useless.
His words infuriated me so much that I was left speechless. Jim finished his coffee and left for work in his usual calm manner, without a word or a see you later. After he left, I boiled water in a kettle and cried. The sound of boiling water didn't matter anymore as I blankly stared at the steam, tears streaming down my face. Why is Jim so selfish? This house feels like a prison. I don't know how much time passed. The boiling sound stopped due to the stove's safety feature, but the silence was broken by the doorbell. I wiped away my tears and hurried to open the door. Ellie, sorry, this is really sudden, but I need you to take the kids from today. No way. You said tomorrow. Isn't this too selfish? But the situation changed. It's just one more day, right? Please handle it alone. I'm begging you. With that, Emma left her son Luke and his essentials at the door and stormed off like a hurricane. What does she think I am? I yelled, then strangely calmed down, feeling something was off. Wait, she said she had to handle it alone today. How does she know I'm alone this weekend? But this question was quickly drowned out by a call on my mobile phone. It was from my father, a rare occurrence. Hello? A call from Dad? What's up?
Ellie, Jane's in critical condition after a car accident.
My father, a quiet and serious man, would never make such a terrible joke. Critical condition?
She's currently in emergency surgery. It's at Massachusetts General Hospital's emergency center. Hurry over here.
Wait, but my sister's...
I'll contact Emma. You just come here, Ellie.
My always calm father had never been this frantic. I quickly gathered my daughter, nephew, and their essentials and jumped into a taxi. Arriving at the hospital, a nurse led me to the intensive care unit, where I found my father, pointing silently to the inside. There lay my mother, bandaged all over, connected to numerous machines and IVs. The little visible skin around her mouth had turned purple. Oh no! Mom! It was hard not to imagine the worst, seeing her like this.
What? Why do you have Luke?
My father noticed my nephew. Emma wasn't answering his calls. I should call Jim. In a daze, I reached out with trembling hands to call Jim. On the way to the hospital in the taxi, I called Jim several times, but he didn't answer. However, when I called him from the hospital, he picked up immediately. Jim, it's my mom. My mom's been in a car accident. I'm at Massachusetts General Hospital's emergency center. Can you come right away?
Actually, I'm already at a golf outing with a key client. Good thing I had my change of clothes and golf bag ready.
What are you laughing at? Just come now. Mom is... Before I could finish explaining how critical Mom's condition was, I heard a woman's voice in the background. Jim, are you still on the phone? I'm going ahead, okay? Who's that?
Yeah, I'll be right there. I'll hang up now, the client's calling. I haven't really met your mother-in-law much, so it's probably best if you handle it first, right? I'll visit her after this golf trip.
Wait, Jim! This isn't a relaxed situation. Jim hurriedly ended the call as the woman beckoned him. After that, no matter how many times I called, there was no sign of him answering. I wasn't so much despairing as I was dumbfounded, staring at the hospital ceiling. The children were being soothed by their grandfather. Father seemed more distracted by the children than concerned about Mom. But I feel like I've heard that voice before. I lay there feeling a sense of discomfort, piecing things together. Even if she's a female CEO and a key client, would she call Jim by his first name? Then it hit me. Someone had recently called Jim by his first name.
That'll get you scolded by Jim, you know.
Those were the words Emma said just before leaving Luke with me earlier today. Could it be? No way. If Jim and Emma were in cahoots, it would explain why they knew I would be alone this weekend. Right. Emma's on social media. Remembering this, I opened Emma's social media to look for any clues. Got an eagle on a golf trip with my favorite person today. There was a post on Emma's social media bragging about a great score on a golf trip. There was a carefree picture attached. Emma must have been over the moon that day. Golf trip, huh? Jim mentioned a golf trip too. On Emma's social media, there were multiple photos of a lavish hotel dinner. One of them, likely taken by her companion, showed a night view from a hotel bedroom. Leaving your kids to have fun by yourself? Then, one photo caught my eye. In the corner of a night view was a mirror, clearly reflecting a man in a suit. The suit was the same one Jim had worn that day. Hesitantly, I zoomed in on the photo to see the face of the person taking it and was shocked to find my suspicions confirmed. It was indeed Jim. So they were having an affair. Unforgivable. I took a screenshot of the photo as evidence, overwhelmed by a surge of emotion. Both of you, using me like this. I won't let you get away with it. I felt intense loathing for Jim and Emma. Then a loud alarm rang in the corridor, snapping me back to reality. Mom! The sound came from the machine monitoring my mother's heartbeat. Rushing to the ICU, I arrived just as the doctor and nurses were entering. Family members, please wait in the waiting area. A nurse, seeing me approach, gently guided me to a chair in the waiting room. Oh, with Mom in this condition, what are Emma and Jim doing? My anxiety for Mom, mixed with hatred and disappointment towards Emma and Jim, left my mind in complete disarray. The alarm from the medical machine, signaling an irregular heartbeat, stopped once, but sounded again 2 hours later. Despite the doctors' and nurses' efforts, it eventually emitted a steady tone. I'm sorry to say, she has passed away. Hearing these words from the doctor, my father collapsed in his seat. My mother had passed away early the next morning after the accident. Mom! Mom! All I could do was cling to the window of the ICU and call out to my mother, wrapped in bandages. While waiting for the funeral home to pick up my mother, my father, "What are you doing at a time like this? Jane has died. Contact me immediately," sent a message to Emma, then looked up at the ceiling, sobbing weakly. I, too, couldn't stop my tears upon seeing my father. But I pulled myself together, knowing I had to take care of the kids when they woke up. And of course, the funeral preparations couldn't be handled by my father alone, so I too had to get moving. I had to prepare sandwiches and fruits for the guests. I greeted the guests, led them to the altar, and served coffee. While my father was attending to the guests, I dealt with the funeral home. Then, as the crematorium is available, we can have the funeral and cremation the day after tomorrow. Your mother's body was severely damaged in the accident. Understood. The funeral director's calm words pierced my heart. I hadn't realized how badly my mother's condition was due to the bandages. In the silent house, the innocent laughter of children echoed. Thankfully, neighbors took care of the children, worried about them. Ellie, leave Mary to me. Go, send off Jane. Among the neighbors was Kate, who had retired as a kindergarten teacher last year. I had often played with her when I was young. She was kind and dependable. Wow, Mary, you're so good at stacking blocks. It was a real relief to see stubborn 2-year-old Mary being skillfully entertained. Eventually, after finishing the arrangements for the wake and funeral, I found a moment to check my mobile phone. Since then, I had called and messaged both Jim and Emma without any response. They seemed to be deliberately ignoring me. I sighed, resigned, and took a deep breath. First, I need to properly send off Mom. I decided not to think about those two for now. The wake went by without incident, and so did the funeral. Sometime into the funeral, Jim finally called my mobile phone. I had been relatively calm until then, but my tension spiked at once.
Hello? I had several missed calls. Did something happen?
My husband's casual call infuriated me. Not did something happen. While you were leisurely on your trip, we were in turmoil.
What? Why are you yelling? I don't know anything.
How many times do you think I tried to contact you? I'm at a funeral right now.
How dare you say you to me? Wait, a funeral? Don't tell me it's your mother-in-law's.
Yes. Now stop dawdling and get back here. And tell the worthless sister of yours too.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Enough. Playing dumb won't help. Be prepared, you jerks. I cut off the call, furious at my husband who enjoyed an unforgivable trip during my mother's funeral. I was almost looking forward to seeing what kind of hell he would face when he returned. I was ready to confront them thoroughly. A few hours after this call, unbelievably, Jim and Emma returned home together. Moreover, they showed up at the funeral home, a place of mourning, inappropriately dressed in a light gray suit and a flashy red knit dress. Inevitably, those around couldn't help but suspect their relationship. You two seem very close. Are you coming back together? I said sarcastically as Jim retorted.
What are you talking about? I just happened to meet your sister and gave her a ride.
I see. It's quite far from the station here and there's no bus service. You're saying Emma was walking around here? Couldn't she have taken a taxi directly? How unnatural.
What are you talking about? I hurried back from work. What's with that attitude?
Jim's continued domineering attitude towards me was infuriating. Work, 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 what work? Cheating on your wife with her sister? How shameless can you be? I shouted, unable to contain my anger any longer. Then, overhearing this, my sister tried to calm me down. Hey, I wouldn't seduce my sister's husband. Ellie is just tired because Mom passed away. Take a break. Before she could finish, I presented the evidence of their affair. How much do you underestimate me? Did you carefully plan this in the car on the way here? Emma, your social media has a picture of my husband in it. Still going to play dumb? With that, I showed them the image of Jim reflected in the hotel mirror, saved on my mobile phone.
That's...
Jim, you should have cropped it properly. They were really foolish. Their affair was exposed by such unexpected evidence. Moreover, it seems your relationship has been going on for over a year now. There are pictures from that time with Jim's sleazy face in them. I couldn't stop now. I was determined to corner them thoroughly. Emma became sexless with her ex-husband around that time. And Jim, you suddenly got busy with work around the time I got pregnant, right? So that means, since then...
Stop it! Don't say any more!
Yes, don't talk about such things in front of so many people. There was someone else watching them flusteredly, with contempt. My father.
You two. What a disgraceful scene in front of Jane!
Father, usually a quiet man, was truly frightening with anger.
Emma, do you realize how much Jane worried about you? Even when you led a reckless life, Jane wanted us to support you. She wouldn't even buy clothes she wanted, instead giving her money to help you.
Father's intense anger also mercilessly targeted Jim.
And Jim, have you made Ellie happy? Jane always worried about that. Every time she called Ellie, she was concerned because Ellie didn't sound cheerful. And you...
He looked like he was about to physically attack Jim, but in front of Mother's portrait, he seemed to rethink.
Emma, from today, our relationship is over. Jane and I have spoiled you too much. No more financial support. Don't come to our house again, and don't ever contact Emily.
That's impossible. I can't live without it.
Then live like you're dying. That's all I can say.
Father then looked at me.
Ellie, end things with that worthless husband.
I understand. I turned from Father to Jim. Jim, I'm divorcing you. From now on, we'll communicate only through lawyers, and I'll make sure to claim compensation through them. With that, Jim pleaded with me in a weak voice I had never seen before.
Wait, it was just a fling with Emma. I felt lonely when you were pregnant.
That's enough. I'm disgusted. What a cliché excuse. I won't forgive you. Not just for the affair, but for everything you've done to me. You worthless husband. What did he mean by feeling lonely? I had always been alone in parenting. And Emma, I will no longer call you my sister, and I'll make sure to claim compensation from you too. Please, no. I have a young child and now no support. So what? Does that have anything to do with me? I have to raise my daughter alone now. As a housewife, it'll take time to re-enter the workforce. I will definitely claim compensation for your infidelity and for treating me like a babysitter all this time. That's your atonement. That's right. My mother was a strong woman. And what I can't forgive the most is that you both prioritized your desires over the fact that Mom was a victim of a traffic accident. I won't show any mercy here. My precious mom was disregarded by these two, and now they will have to live a life of atonement. Wait, are you still trying to put me down? Stop it!
Ellie, I love you. Let's make it right.
Their words meant nothing to me, as I declared. What happens next will be your enjoyment. Now, both of you can leave together. After being told so, Emma and Jim left the venue under the cold stares of those around them. Sometime after the funeral, when my parents' home regained its calm, I contacted Emma's ex-husband. The reason was to get the custody of my nephew Luke back to Emma's ex-husband. I wasn't interested in what happened to Jim and Emma, but I was concerned about Luke. There's no way Jim and Emma, even if remarried, could make Luke happy. He'll just be neglected. I decided it was best for Emma's ex-husband to take care of him. Upon learning of Emma's infidelity, her ex-husband was furious and decided to claim compensation. Emma, now without support and facing claims from both her ex-husband and me, was about to start a tough life. Jim, my ex-husband, would also be claimed for compensation by Emma's ex-husband. I would demand alimony, child support, and property division from Jim, making his payments substantial. Additionally, I inquired about Jim's unusual overtime and weekend work at his company and reported the divorce due to infidelity. The company may not directly confront Jim about the infidelity or divorce. However, organizations have a way of circulating information without the person realizing. Jim may act confident, but he's a coward inside. So, he will likely feel the strange atmosphere at work and continue working with discomfort. As for me, I've returned to my father's house to live with him. He has been taking great care of my daughter, Mary, and her stubborn toddler behavior has settled down thanks to him. Following the funeral, the former kindergarten teacher, Kate, who took care of Mary, suggested I study to become a kindergarten teacher. Kate also visits occasionally to provide advice and support. Ellie, you'll be fine. You're kind, so once you get the hang of it, it'll be easy. Kate, don't flatter me too much. Kate joked and cheered me on while entertaining Mary. I was a housewife, but now I'm pursuing new goals and striving for independence through these connections. I want to make the most of this opportunity that my mother has perhaps arranged for me.